the final game. Who can actually secure a better early mid-game composition, excuse me.
Yeah, I agree, but I feel like there are must-banner ways, and one of them is definitely the Scion coming out there, the Alistra as well that Frost was just talking about, and I feel like you just have to take away that Rise, and there it is from JD.
Definitely not going to let that on the Rift. So these are the exact same 3 bans that JD Gaming threw EDG's way in Game 4. So I do think JD Gaming are going to go for a very, very similar draft. However, this time, EDG banned the Lissandra and keep the Akali up. There is no Akali counter left up. There's very few of them to start with.
Wow.
Whoa.
First pick of the Gragas coming in from Edward Gaming, and they banned both of the adaptation picks from the last game.
And
now
this is
JD,
such a, if they lock
there's
it
so
in,
much left open.
Oh, okay, okay. So if JD Gaming actually locked the Akali in, it would be a massive drafting win. Their biggest weakness so far has been the inability to play the pick. They actually just ban it on blue side a lot of the times. It almost seemed like a trap. Maybe they're trying to hint towards EDG and force them to pick it because they have the Skarner ready for it.
Right, like it worked out in that last game, but they have the Lissandra as an answer into it now. You're right, they have the Skarner, but I'm really interested in the fact that we saw the Xayah come through from Loken right here. I mean, I feel like the Varus has been doing so much work for JD throughout the playoffs, especially into EDG, but they lose priority here, give themselves late game insurance, but they hand over EDG, the Akali, and we're looking down at Kai'Sa as well.
I actually like the read because Xayah still gets lane priority over the Kai'Sa early on, and she does more in terms of the big late game team fights. She has that escape over Varus. So JD Gaming's read is basically like, if they take the Xayah, I'll take the Varus, but they're probably going to take the Kai'Sa, so I'm going to go for the Xayah instead. I have a bit of that late game insurance with me as well. The big question left is what do they actually pick against the Akali? Because I don't think the Skarner is enough. You do have to have a lane counter as well.
I like the Brawl coming in there as well for the defense, but opting away from the Rakan actually, giving an option maybe over to EDG if they don't ban it themselves. And JD looking towards the next phase of bans here.
The big ones left open are for the top side and in the potential mid lane as well. I agree with Frostkern when it comes down the line. I feel like something for Ornn actually works really well with his composition. You can play front to back. You have the carry behind a big tank to push forward. That would be something I'd be looking for EDG. And you know, Ray, when it comes down the line, he's even taken the Maokai at some points.
He might go to it right now. The amount of new picks I've seen in this series has just been ridiculous. It just shouldn't happen. They shouldn't be that good at it as well, coming out, especially from JD. Rakan was the ban there. EDG counting down the timer. Let's see what they want to take away. It's going to be the Galio actually respecting Yagao right here.
So they're taking away the counter picks towards the Akali. We're talking about all 3 mid laner picks gone, and Yagao slinks back into his seat. He looks at the sky. What champion does he have to answer the Akali?
We'll see. The Akali, good chance it can go to mid lane, but we know it can go to top lane as well for Ray.
They're not going to do it.
Hey, they might.
Hey, look,
Olaf's going to be the
EDG, they need to stick to what they know. They have to get a tank onto Ray. That's what I feel like, but they're actually going to ban the Ornn themselves.
How are you feeling about that one now, Clement?
I feel confused. I'm looking like Nofe right now. You know, he's scratching his head. He's picking on his notebook. He's doodling right now.
Maybe there's something else that EDG just have in their back pocket. JD, though, probably going to leave. Well, they have both solo lanes to pick for right now.
They're going to have to show one.
Something, yeah. Urgot, perhaps?
Ooh. Oh, the Gangplank is quite risky because it doesn't actually provide split pushing itself. It's more about how the bottom lane goes. So JD Gaming, they're going back to their game 2, game 1 strategy, which is all about the bot lane. They actually need to find kills right there. They have a lot of pick potential for it, but if that doesn't work, that's all they have.
Well, I mean, this is definitely a big pick for Zoom. You know, traditionally, when you look at the regular season, massive performances for him, but EDG right now have the pick of the litter. Likely going to be a tank. It's going to be the Cho'Gath.
I like the Cho'Gath quite a bit. It's a good front line. It also prevents the Skarner from really coming in and snatching away anyone. And EDG, they've already set up for such a strong level 6 kill combo with the Akali and Grag. It's very hard to deny them that pick. They have the late game insurance. They have the frontline tank. All they're looking for is potentially the jungle or the support.
See what's going to be counting down the timer right to the last second. And it will be the Camille lock-in here for EDG.
Absolutely great composition coming in from EDG. This is probably the best that they could select in their positions. Sure, we haven't seen a lot of Akali's Scout. I actually don't think we've seen it before. But it's such a powerful champion that you can always make it work on the first time.
I'm just a little bit surprised from what I'm seeing here from JD.
I think
Skarner's definitely like on brand, but what does your Gal have left?
He's definitely very stressed. They're taking him to the limit in terms of champion pulls.
Okay. It will be the Vladimir going into the mid lane, Gangplank into the top, and then the bottom lane priority going over to the Xayah here for JD. It comes down to this.
I have to say, I have to give the draft over towards EDG. JD Gaming, they don't have a composition that can walk up, so the Skarner is going to be, a lot of times, it's not going to be very useful. And EDG actually pulling out a swap. Now, the Cho'Gath is considered a very hard counter toward the Vladimir. You can't do much, you can't walk up against him. But at the same time, it does take away a lot of playmaking potential coming in from Scout.
The last time I saw, they're going to swap up the last second there. The last time I saw a mid lane Cho'Gath was when RNG were chaining up their roster. And they went full AP Cho'Gath. Remember that with the Proto Belt? Yeah. So it's going to be swapped up at the last minute there. There we go. The full compositions. The last picks, the last champion select we'll have in this series. First round of the regional qualifiers.
And it all comes down to this. The coaches have done such a great battle with the mind games, with the ban picks, shifting the meta back and forth between them. They finally settled on this. Actually felt like both teams had incredibly good drafts. They both got what they wanted out for, but a bit more flexibility on EDG's side. Well, for JD Gaming and Yagao, they have to make those bot lane dives work.
JD, is this the end of the line for them? Because Edward Gaming just turned it on, literally at the 11th hour. They come out here, they come into game 5. It comes down to this. If they get eliminated in this game, they'll lose the series. It'll be the first time since the organization has been created that they wouldn't go to Worlds.
It would be a massive shockwave, and you look across all the regions. TSM's not there, G2's not there, SKT's not there. Pretty much Flash Worlds are the only one left going to Worlds and going like, wait, where are all my former friends? Are we here alone? Gone. Is there any life outside?
Apparently not, but it's the rise of a new era. EDG, their dynasty, rides on this one game in this best of 5. They have the draft, they're feeling comfortable. JD pushed to the limit. Do they have what it takes? We're about to find out as we head on to the rift for game 5. I don't think he's going to stop.
No, he's just going to keep going.
Wow. JingDong! That was, I'll put it off for you. I think that was like 9 reps. This guy's been working out ready for this moment.
Oh, yeah.
My God,
this is the most important moment for his team.
Lil Yellow.
Yeah, Lil Yellow has been around for his team. He's shown up at every game. That's not a common thing for a manager, actually. He's put a lot of effort into this team, but...
it means a big deal in the LPL because the team's traveling all the time. There are 6 stadiums to fly to keep going towards for this team, and every single game, you go back through the VODs, he's always there at the start of every game. I'm surprised he still has a voice box.
Yeah, absolutely amazing dedication, but just talking about the level 1 a little bit, I really like what Ray is doing here. He's bunching up the wave, so that means the wave is going to shove towards his lane, and what that means is that it will open Zoom to potential ganks. Maybe that that is what he's looking for. And if you look at the level 1, EDG have really come up with a better strategy. They know where the Skarner did start, and they're going for a level 2 gank.
Here it is, Mako moving towards the bottom side. Ward comes out actually over the wall. Wow, that's a really difficult to do actually, moving from that wall. You have to place it in the perfect place. It's actually just underneath the tree.
He would absolutely tilt if he messed that up, and the level 2 gank just killed him.
It's a hard trick. You can do it topside as well if you're a top laner, but I can never get that trick to work. Well played to Lumal right there. Mako stepping up in lane. Where's Haro moving now? He's heading into the enemy jungle. I don't know if he's being spotted out though.
It's a very interesting path coming in from Clid as a Skarner. So he's deciding to full clear his top side. And what that tells me is that he's going to go get a fast back. Just back right now, probably get the Predator online and just move towards bot.
Where is he going? Moving towards the river, yeah, taking crab, but I don't think he's got any knowledge of what Haro is doing. In fact, he's looking towards this mid lane. Yagao has hit level 3, but maybe we can get something off him here. Moving to the Twilight Shroud, hook shot across the wall. Goes into the pool, and a lot of damage coming out from the Scout as well. And Yagao actually steps forwards.
That was really close. If Haro was still hanging around that wall, I'm pretty sure he wouldn't do that, but the lane situation for him is really, really bad. He's sitting close to execution range, and the wave is pushing forward. Skarner is going to have to come.
I mean, Yagao very low on this one. He's, as you said, fully in kill range. He was going to try again. Has to flash away. Doesn't have the Sanguine Pull. Long cooldown on that one. And Scout just carries on farming. There's nothing he needs to do right there. Yeah.
That was way too easy for EDG. And when it comes down to the line, this is what EDG really excel at. The coordination between their jungler and the lane. You know, Clearlove, I don't think he has the best mechanics. I'm going to flat out say I don't think he's individually that great of a player, but what he's excelled at, why he's been able to stay in the LPL for so long is that mid-jungle coordination, and he's passing it down to Haro.
Yeah, Haro has done an incredible job this series, an incredible job in the summer split to bounce back. One of the most improved players coming out of spring. That bottom lane though, getting a recall off first back to him, a call actually coming out of Loken. So really just trying to go for the long haul, and JD, you get teams put into this situation, especially when they're like an early game, mid game team, which like was the final game, everything comes down to this, and they go for a composition that has scaling so they can beat them out in team fights as the game goes late. You know, you get a lot of games like this where you will have a prolonged game, people don't want to mess up, but this is JD, you know, like if you're going to double down on anything at any time, you would just go for your early game strategies, but we're seeing this Vladimir come out, and currently Scout is just blasting him in the mid lane, 2-wave advantage, and he can't even step up.
It's all about setting up the wave for EDG. Both of the solo lanes actually did this, where they have the wave pushing into themselves, they track the jungler, and they make sure they're at the top side when Clid cannot reinforce their solo lane. So it was really about the coordination between these, and it's showing up in the CS lead, massive lead. That's 16 CS before the 5-minute mark.
Yeah, that's ridiculous out there. He's going to go for his back right here, Scout. Go back to base, already picks up the Hextech Revolver. How's top lane doing? We've actually got a Gangplank in here versus this tank. Goes for the Kleptomancy. Equal on farm, as to be expected on this one. I haven't seen any junglers for 40 square miles, honestly. No one's moving towards the top side. Just trying to get this Gangplank out of lane. We'll be able to assist cross-map if any plays happen on the bot side. We'll see if Haro trends towards that. Has typically been the set play for Edward Gaming.
And the biggest thing about the Gangplank is that he really doesn't play for his lane alone. It's about the cannon barrage and taking away the need to teleport to any of these fights. Sure, he can scale up really hard in the late game, but is he going to be able to push down a Cho'Gath? I don't really think so. A lot of the chips for JD Gaming are hinging on this early game. They need to make something happen.
EDG are making all the proactive moves though, and now they bring Mako to the party as well. The flash comes out after the hook shot. Yagao low, and he's coming towards the minions. He's about to fall. Oh, the shotgun flip misses, but he walks back towards them, gets a bit of health from that one, and Mako of the wall. It's first blood to Edward Gaming.
Just too easy. None of the lanes going correctly for JD Gaming, and even Mako is able to roam in for the kill. This is not supposed to happen when you have the Xayah versus the Kai'Sa.
Just completely unlocked right now. EDG can do anything they want. First blood going into the Akali as well. You see this and it's like, well, that's just going to be a massive threat that we just can't deal with, and all your squishies tremble in their shoes. You know, one of them's going to get blown up as the game goes on.
Definitely, and you can see EDG, they're already setting up for the potential comeback for JD Gaming. The only place they could find it would be in that bottom lane. They spot the Skarner out already. They just can't find the play.
Yeah, maybe waiting until Clid dings 6 so we can get the ultimate across into the bottom, just rush towards them, but it's currently priority across the board. Mid lane winning, bot lane winning. Haro can do anything he wants, gets that gank off into mid lane. And Clid is farming up, getting to a point. It will be just based on those initial plays coming out from JD.
He will get the level 6 straight off the Grant, but if you look at the warding situation, it's so hard for him to find access into the bot lane. In fact, he's going to be immediately spotted out.
Yeah. Walks over this pink ward, walk out the ward on this one, but I know exactly where Clid is. It's actually just nullified. He's just doing Zex, as we just mentioned, but will he actually continue the play? Haru's down in the bottom side of the map.
Ooh, and look at Akali already starting the roam right now. Scout knows that Yagao doesn't have his flash up yet. He can't really leave his tower at this point. So I do expect Haru and Scout to try and look to 2v1 Clid.
Yeah, starting off in his blue should be okay though. Haru not actually pathing towards the area, more concerned about taking out his Raptors. Mid lane, still picking up though. Two-wave advances to Scout. It's constantly just pushing in.
Full map control coming in from EDG, and it does look like the pings are going down towards the bot side.
Yeah, actually first time in this game that JD's bottom lane is even pushed up, so Haru sees an opportunity, but cleared. Knows it's probably going to happen. Now they're actually running it back to the tower. Jungle's just keeping each other in check in the river right now.
This is the stifling gameplay that EDG are known for. They plan things out meticulously. They're very observant about their laning positions. And they have a lot of jungle action where it's not only about the kills in lane, it's about making sure that the enemy laner can't even step up. They're afraid of the zoning potential. And this looks a lot like the old EDG. Sure, the crowd was really depressed when ClearLove was announced to not be in this game. There was a collective sigh across the entire arena, but he's here in spirit.
He is. I mean, it looks like him playing across the rift, but he has a bigger champion pool. He's actually playing the Camille right here. Haru forcing that bottom lane back. I mean, multiple members off the board for EDG. I mean, JingDong just don't know what's going on right now. They're just blind to the situation. Loken and Lumao pushing up to the tower. Here comes Clid and Yagao. Pops the ultimate. Full combo coming down. Scout flashing and pops the ultimate to try and get away. And Haru, but there's the ultimate up from the top lane. Oh, Q over the wall. Didn't quite tag him. Flash forward. Yagao gets a return kill. iBoy getting chased back. Has to flash to safety.
And unfortunate for EDG right there, because Yagao actually took the route around the Merc Wolves, so the control ward didn't spot him out. A scout just thought that he didn't leave lane, or maybe he backed or something, and he just missed that spot where he could come in and finally engage on him. They had the ward, they just didn't have the position.
Oh, Loken pushing forward, but right behind him there's Clid. Great cast going out from Mako though, shuts down the AD carry. Lumao by himself flashes away, and iBoy follows through the killer instinct into the brushes. Chasing him down back to the tower. It's just a matter of dealing with the paperwork. Another kill to iBoy.
And EDG, they set up another play. JD Gaming are trying to push this wave in, deny the CS from there, but that's just one step too far forward.
And Kill's going over to the perfect places right now. Kill over to Scout to start off the game. Another one over to iBoy. Now control over the bottom side won't mean that it's a dragon going over to him. It is the Cloud though for EDG.
But you have to say that was a very close, that was a big turnaround for JD Gaming. They actually find some footing in this game. Let's watch this play again. Loken thinks that EDG's bot lane is probably going home. He's trying to push the wave up. The oldest trick in the book, just waiting for inside the brush. Waiting for them to overstep.
I honestly wonder because Braum and Clid were right there behind him. It's almost like they wanted Loken to be the bait right there, but weren't expecting the trap on the trap, inside the trap that was coming in for Edward Gaming in that situation.
This is EDG mind gaming, JD Gaming. They know that they're always going to go for the greedy play, and this is what you have to do sometimes, is you have to play much more conservatively.
That's Storm Razors already. Not even 11 minutes into the game, and Storm Razors for iBoy.
And he hasn't cashed in onto the call either. So just a flat-out big purchase for him. Now Storm Razors, the cost was nerfed, was brought down quite a few patches ago, so it's not that incredible.
Mako coming in here, forcing the flash out from Zoom. Mako still has flash off of that bot lane play as well.
Yep.
And making plays happen on the top side now.
They're getting the favorable trades. This is a 2-for-1 for EDG. They get the Herald and the top side as well. The only question is who can actually secure the first brick.
We'll see. Clid's going to spot out Haru on the Herald, but not really a lot he can do about this one apart from stepping forward, maybe finding the steal, but Mako's here body block, not going to happen. Mid lane's rotating. Mako stepping forwards, finds the cast onto Clid right here, actually hands him over to Scout, moving through the Twilight Shroud. There's iBoy, Killer Instinct, flash to the wall, but in comes a massive E! Coming out of the Camille, Lumao dead! And now Yagao, without any friends in the world, Shuriken flip into the pool, trying to jump over the wall, makes it! Mako looks to follow. Make it? No, he did not, Clement. 3 kills to EDG.
Massive punish coming in from EDG. They spot Skarner out, and that's the playmaking potential from the Gragas coming in. All of our top supports, no matter Ming or Mako, they're saying that this is the tier 1 support you want to go for.
Oh boy, bottom lane as well. This is kill pressure here from Ray. He had the Feast Star ready to go. Loken, no ultimate. I mean, this is just a massacre across the board here.
Yeah. And it really is Haru stepping up right now. I think there's going to be a lot less nostalgia for ClearLove going into the future. This is what Frostburner was talking about. He is the new face of the EDG dynasty.
Yeah, pouring out for he's probably pouring on. He was just like, I don't need to do anything in this series. My team's taking it home. And again, just stepping forward, EDG. I mean, just punishing JD for even stepping forward. There's no reason to do that. The Herald was gone. Yeah,
and watch this big triple stun coming in from the Haro. He gets everyone in that scenario, and he also chases down the kill as well. I thought Yagao was out. I thought the same thing you were, like over the wall, but you have to remember Camille has 1600 range when she's moving towards a champion with the flash to boot.
Harris has been playing out of his mind in this series. He was the starter in this one. All faith went over towards him. There's a reason why they chose to keep him in Game 5.
There's been so many questions leveraged towards his way. In Spring Split, he was known as the champion coin because he only played 2 things.
Whoa. Face checking into a scanner and zoom right there.
Tense moment.
Yeah. But EDG making these early plays happen for sure, and JD just not really able to scale up. Like a Vladimir, a Xayah, and a Gangplank going to be huge as the game goes on, but I don't think we even get to that point. Again, it feels like roles are being reversed. Like EDG are taking the early game advantages, but they're actually being bloodthirsty about it. It's not just about making those set plays, they're actually just challenging them. But JD are just walking up to places they shouldn't be in. It just seems like panic across the board, and honestly, you have to bring up the fact that JD, I mean, we called them untiltable in a series, but they just don't have the experience in these situations where EDG, multiple members across the board, have been in the highest stake scenarios. When it comes down to this situation, they will come up trumps.
It's just a different degree of detail, but JD Gaming are looking to go in on this rotation.
Point blank charge coming in here, Clid pushing forward so he can find the hook onto someone. It's going to be onto Scout, but he immediately jumps away. Turning around, got a human play on him, and jumps through the team fight. Mako low, still no kills to JD. And iBoy jumping in there, trying to find some frags on the backside. And somehow, no casualties in this one. Oh! The Caffeine Rain for the kill. Here comes Haro. He's caught Loken. Right in the ultimatum, support about to fall as well. Double kill over to iBoy, Lumao under attack, and Ray comes out there. Triple kill to the Kai'Sa.
Massive turnaround coming in from EDG. All the skills used on the Kali.
Bring it on!
But Scout still moves away from the fight, and iBoy steps up when it matters the most.
And iBoy sometimes his cockiness bites him in the ass, but in this one, it allows him to make plays like that.
JD Gaming were so desperate for the play. They weren't spotted on the left side. I felt that they had a great start to the fight, but they couldn't kill Scout enough. Scout actually goes in for a Q that saves his life. With the sustain back in, he's able to step away, and then iBoy steps up to the plate for him. The last flash and Q. Perfect damage calculation.
I do not understand how Mako and Scout did not die there. And Haro solo, but sees the opportunity, knows he has the perfect timing to follow through. And he just took so much of that mid lane tower, triple kill over to your Kai'Sa, 4-0-4 now, and picks up essentially a free QSS. You know, this isn't going to stall his build at all. He's got so much extra gold to spend for himself.
And Ray is still going in on this. I don't think Loken has the ultimate. He might just die here.
Oh, really important blade caller right there. If he didn't find the... Yeah, that was a Praise Seeker coming across.
And that's just a pressure with EDG's composition. I feel like they're better in the split pushing position, and they can also take front to backs much harder as well. So the window for JD Gaming, it just feels like it passed. They didn't get anything done in the laning phase. We were talking about the Cannon Barrage and with the possibility of the Skarner ultimate. But they've only got 1 kill so far.
And Santia Gao as well, but they're just running out of time right now, JD. They can't just keep letting this happen. I mean, EDG are just making these plays, they're controlling the map. This is a near-on perfect game from them. Just that single kill, as you just said, to JD's name. Scout in the side lane, 2-1 and 2. Already at his first item spike. I don't think anyone can duel him right now. The Gangplank doesn't want to even step near this Akali. Ray starting off his play on top side, slowing down Lumao. Here comes Mako as well, tosses out the Q. Wow, reaction, ultimate coming in from Loken, but there was nothing thrown. And Lumao under attack, throws out the fissure, blast forwards, in comes iBoy. He smells blood in the water, finds 2, jumps onto Clid, but he's got no team. Turns on towards the mini waves here. Yagao spots a low health AD carry, tries to execute against the tower. He'll die to Gangplank.
They really shouldn't be going any further. EDG overstepping a little bit, but let's see how many kills JD Gaming can actually trade back. It's only 1 so far.
Just don't have the movement speed to step up. Maybe they can take the tower off of this though, JD. It would be nice, a little bit of gold back into their pockets, but that's the first real advantage they found in this game.
Yeah, that's actually a good answer coming in from JD Gaming right here. They should be able to deal a lot of damage towards these towers. Ray doesn't have the mana to step up, but he does have Mako with him.
Wow, they actually defended the turret right here. Here comes Haro for the counterplay. Hook shot, it's on. 2 cleared right now. Doesn't have that ultimate piece. Lockdown regardless. Throws out the ultimatum. Here comes Scout. Oh, he's still alive. Down comes in Zoom to execute him point blank.
And it's still a 4v4 into the top side. Xayah has showed herself into the mid lane, but EDG, they don't have the ammunition. They have to back up right here. And I feel like the craziness of the game is actually shifting the momentum back to JD Gaming. This is what they're comfortable with. Forget about your setup. Let's just make this game about who gets to the fight faster.
It just feels like we're on the verge of this game devolving. And when you, as you said, get to those just full-on brawls, the 5v5s, then JD gives them a chance. But EDG trying to calm this one down. Seemed like it was going to be just a nice play here from EDG with the setup onto Loken and Lumao. Yeah, there were a couple missed opportunities right here. I thought that the combination would work a little bit better here. You can see iBoy did not rush to go into that situation. He did go very far behind the tower, but he does pick up the double kill there. Probably cleansed way too early. I think that was a big mistake right there. You can see Clid got his full combo off on that situation. Now trying to calm this game down a little because those kills went into the pockets. Gangplank now picks up his second item, moves towards the Ghost Blade. So he's starting to scale, but that's not to say there are still massive members on the side of EDG. Look at 2-1 and 2 on Scout. 6 kills over to iBoy, even off the back of that play, moving towards his second damage item.
And I really want to see the gold graph right now, because if Zoom does get the Sterix Gauge, he could actually take it to the Akali in the side lane. He could even bully out Ray as well. So if he actually had that much gold or had that much CS concentrated on himself, he could change a lot of the situations in this game.
For now though, we're just trying to settle back.
Here we go. It's almost 3,000 gold ahead of Ray.
Oh man. He's scaling.
He's been a part of every single kill right here, and that's also ahead of Akali right now. So EDG, with those kind of loose plays, you have to call them out for that. They've actually created a win condition for JD Gaming when they really didn't need to. I feel like EDG, sometimes they play a little bit too loose, and even though they still have a very big advantage in the game, they didn't need to give JD Gaming a way back into it.
Well, you give them a chance. Yeah, that's not to say it's not an uphill struggle for JD.
Definitely still is.
And towards the bottom though, here comes iBoy. He's about to be spotted by this ward. Zin will be backing away. Yeah, trying to get out of range, has to instantly pop that Ghost Blade right there. Doesn't want to even remotely get caught by any CC from Ray, allowing access to iBoy on the bottom side. Trying a long way from spawning, but still trying to secure this crab vision here, JD.
JD Gaming, they've suddenly equalized the situation. EDG are no longer able to just straight push into their own jungle, and JD Gaming are setting up the 1-3-1. So the big question next is, who's going to be actually able to step up to the Akali? Which matchup is going to win against which one? I think the really big one, of course, is still... Oh, wait a minute.
Haro by himself in the jungle, has the team behind him in river to catch him, but it will still go down into the Guardian Angel. Removing the Guardian Angel, huge there for JD.
Yeah, and that was the problem I was talking about. EDG, they really need to calm down at this point. They had a great early game. They don't want it to slip away. What they should have done really was, you know, have Mako go with him and try to get the barrels down as well. They do have checking abilities. They also have the Void Seeker. So personally, I feel like it was inexcusable for Haro to face check in that fashion.
And that was just completely slowed down. We went from crazy action for the first, what, 18 minutes of the game, and EDG have said, okay, no more of that, let's just go back and farm. But does that just give time for JD and these picks to actually start scaling?
EDG did not need to go for those high-risk plays. I think that's, you have to call them out on that. They were very far ahead, for sure, and they just came off a huge momentum play in the mid lane, but they needed to calm themselves down at that juncture. They needed to say, hey, we're going to have full lane control. The Gangplank is still very far behind. We can side lane split push him and try to take it slow, starve JD Gaming out. Instead, they went for one tower dive and then another reinitiate when they were down members already.
Well, what happens now? We continue this game state for the next 5, 10, 15 minutes here for both of these two teams. Do we just go back to even here for JD and EDG
No.
despite the early game? Is it still over to EDG?
I still think it's over to EDG, but the thing is that the momentum, the confidence boost you give JD Gaming is very dangerous. Because I felt like they were in a phase where Clid was obviously slumping. He couldn't do anything on the map, and they were feeling a bit defeated. That's the feeling I got from JD Gaming. But if you let them see that chance, if you let them get back into the game, I honestly think that changes the mentality completely. I wouldn't be saying this if it was just a normal regular season game, but in a big 5e, in a BO5 like this, where the winner could very well go to Worlds, mentality matters.
Wow, managed to get that one in the end there, Hara, but now he's caught out. He doesn't have the Guardian Angel anymore, and that's everybody there from JD. Blows him up in the river. Mako dashes to safety, but Ray comes in actually, expecting a fight. Now he's caught out. In comes iBoy laying down the damage, but there's the door from Lumao. Scout pushes forward, but it's one by one here from EDG. Oh, the assassination onto the AD carry. Lumao turning it around, but Mako finds him. And iBoy gets the assassinate. 3 versus 3. In comes the Akali onto Zoom. Clid backing away. He's got Yagao behind him, but EDG have regained control of the fight. 2 kills to iBoy.
That was a 5v3 to start the entire situation, but Scout finds the most crucial kill into the backline. He's going for another. Can he find the shuriken flip?
Not quite. Zoom did have the blast cone there to help him. Yagao following up this mini wave, and I cannot believe that EDG managed to turn around that fight.
That was great initiation coming in from Scout right there. He knew that Loken had already used the Feather Storm to jump up into the air, to dodge out and finish off the kill onto Ray. But this is so risky.
No, they find Yagao though. Yeah, he's going to sprint away from this one. Mako's low on health though. He's going to take another shot from the Baron. EDG will choose to disengage. That would be real risky if Yagao finds access into the pit there.
And honestly,
the blood.
That for me is the 5v5 edge that EDG actually have over the composition. You can go down 2 members and still find yourself back in the team fight. That was absolutely insane. You look at this teleport, Ray really should not have been here. It was a very easy pickup coming in from him. No feast down. Loken manages to dodge it, and look at Scout. He's half health, but he goes in for the hero play. He finds Loken onto the back, and that's what changes everything. They can't find the combo onto iBoy. He's able to dance around on the side, and honestly, JD Gaming, they're just cut off from their own composition. They're split in a very bad position. They just have to run for it.
I mean, Scout is just insane. Yeah. Like, I can't believe he managed to get
0
that
damage
kill.
from his jungler.
Yeah. I mean,
his top laner honestly ints, and he still saves the situation in the 3v5, coming in from half health.
Yeah. I mean, Loken did toss his ultimate out very early into that fight when he wasn't necessarily under that much pressure. Lumao was there, and maybe that needs to be the trust fall, because if Loken still had his Feather Storm when that was Akali jumping on his face, maybe it didn't even happen. Maybe he has to look for a nuke onto a different target, but in that situation, EDG played it remarkably cool under pressure.
What they really need is that they probably need to save Clid and his ultimate for the Akali. I think they're going to have to find some other ways of initiation.
Yeah. I mean, Akali's always going to be a major problem when you have this many squishies on the side of JD. Zoom, on the bottom side of the map, has the teleport, but the Baron has been started by EDG. Clid, over the wall, no blast cone. Doesn't have the flash either, we'll have to walk it up to the pit.
They do have the feast and the scuttle. They're going to try and turn.
Ray threatening, trying to find access into the pit. Clear stepping up, it's secured by the Cho'Gath. Scout, the 1v1 against Yagao on the opposite side. Oh! Just assassinates the Vladimir. Meanwhile, the rest of the fight, here comes Scout, ready to take another name. Haro down, but he's got the Guardian Angel back up, and JD need damage control. They turn on towards Scout, but he's in the shadows. Zoom turning back towards them, but doesn't find any purchase with the barrels. And Zoom, what are you doing? Walks into all 5 members. The team isn't even there.
And a massive win coming out from EDG. Scout wins the solo in the top side, goes in again, and soaks up all the damage coming in from Loken. He doesn't fall down, and he gets EDG the biggest lead they could possibly look for in this game 5.
Pause coming in right now. I wonder what's actually the cause of this pause, because that was, I wonder if it was over to Zoom, right? Because I literally just watched him walk into 5 people by himself.
Oh no, he wanted to do that. He was looking for the kills. Yeah, that was a classical JD Gaming play. I think it's something different.
I mean, I don't think it's a JD Gaming play.
I'm not saying it's a good play. I'm saying it's a JD Gaming play.
From Zoom, man. We'll see what the issue is. But hopefully it's just a maybe peripheral issue, something we can get swapped out very quickly. They don't really want to disrupt the action after that, but this is so big for EDG. It might actually just be the final nail in the coffin here if they're able to just smother JD out of the game from here on out.
JD Gaming, they have to reorganize themselves. They're not completely out of this yet, but I think the key thing about the team fights is you need to leave the Skarner ultimate up for Scout going in. He's just way too good on this champion. He was quivering alive on less than 100 HP throughout that fight. The Zanya comes up, he dodges out on the pullback from the Xayah. He would have died right there, but just outplayed the situation.
Yeah, perfect time for Scout just to show exactly what he's made of. But then again, he was also allowed onto this pick, right? I feel like at a certain point, this draft is just biting JD in this early game. I mean, they went down 9 kills at the start of this one.
I said it from the start, this draft is soundly in EDG's favor. I felt like No Fate definitely won up home at this point. They really stepped on the big champion pool issues of JD Gaming, and the biggest one was that they simply do not play Akali in their top side or in their mid lane either. They've been banning it the entire way through, and when you've shown that for 15 games straight, EDG definitely has picked that up.
I feel for Clid, man, like, we call this team untiltable, but you push them this far from round 1 of playoffs all the way through into the regional qualifiers, like a potential 5 best of 5s in the space of, what, like a week and a half? This has been back-to-back series for JD. I mean, they've worked harder than everybody. And it's honestly just a pause in a final game like this. There's no way anyone's mental like holds up to for that immediately after a lost Baron fight.
But they need to do it. They still have some win conditions left. If you look at Zoom, he's still been massive in these team fights so far. Has a good gold lead even across the Akali so far. So if he gets a good barrel down on the back line, they could still repel the push coming in from EDG.
I just heard that it was actually a Loken pause for an in-game issue there for him. And following a team fight as well.
Yeah, I feel like he's most likely going to be looking for a chrono break.
I mean, it's such a big deal. I mean,
you
for
can't
both
ask
sides.
for it.
Yeah. But we'll find out exactly what the issue is. But it was, actually in-game. I mean, the problem here, because, I mean, that team fight is essentially going to seal the game. So, I hope we can get this one resolved for him.
I think it was everyone still up for EDG. For JD Gaming, they've lost a lot of members. Loken was still alive.
Yeah.
Zoom still has the spirits up. The white dumpling is there for you.
That's just a tough situation, man, for JD. Like, the fact that this is essentially a rookie squad coming into 2018 to push this far, they're literally pushing a dynasty to their limits. Like, who else has done that in LPL? Hell, in League of Legends history has managed to do this.
There are our own Griffins, and even the Griffins fell down in their own regional qualifiers to Gen G. Can the newcomers actually make a dent in the LPL? This is a test that everyone is waiting to see. EDG, they've just been there for so long. And JD Gaming, you know, throughout this year, they've brought us so many surprises. They were the only team to stay undefeated against RNG throughout the majority of the year. They only fell down in the last BO3 against them.
I mean, this guy right here was one of the biggest surprises for JD just in general. Yagao, no one expected the type of player that would be drafted onto this roster, you know? Yagao has done so much for the team. He's been a playmaker. He's been, honestly, a solid rock for them.
JD Gaming, they couldn't make playoffs with the finals MVP of Doinby. They made playoffs both times with the newcomer of Yagao. And even in the third, fourth place match where he had to face up against Doinby, you know, Doinby has a great grudge against JD Gaming for letting him go. They are known as the Revenge Squad. He absolutely smashed him into the ground. A 3-0 performance. Does their story end here today?
And we've got a split audience as well. You know, it almost doesn't feel like this is an underdog story. The fact that came in today and it's like, actually, JD, this actually might be them with the advantage. I certainly thought that. From what we saw already coming into playoffs, JD just smashed EDG, and they came as the favorites today. You heard it from the audience, straight up 50-50, maybe even hovering over to JD's side. I heard them so incredibly loud.
Yep.
People are ready for a change.
Yeah, the Chinese casters were there rooting for JD Gaming. I would say rooting, but they did predict JD Gaming to take the 3-1 as well. I believe most of us did.
But what would it say about EDG, the fact that it can move so many different members onto a squad? They can literally lose Clearlove He's just sitting backstage right now, watching all this unfold, and for them to still move on to the final rounds and regionals. Yes, it's the fallest that they've ever fallen in the LPL, but they could still make Worlds. And just so much credit to the organization. I mean, they are the flagship. If there's any team that you can call the flagship, the pillar of the LPL, it would be EDG.
You have to give them that the macro is still there. If you look about the laning phase and the jungler coordination with their lanes, no one else in the LPL is doing that. I don't even think RNG is doing it that well. They're zoning away people early on. They're creating double-digit CS leads before 5 minutes, just understanding how to control the waves, going back to the fundamentals. That's what always put EDG ahead. It wasn't always the mechanics. Those always existed in the LPL. But it was the understanding of how to play around the minion waves, how to set up vision, the macro aspects of it that kept EDG in it for so long. If they can come out ahead today, they still prove that they're probably the best team in those aspects.
And I'll be joining Flash Wolves as well, the last champions, you know?
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a look at the team fight before this one. It's not the one that just unfolded, the one before at Baron where Loken got popped like a balloon.
So the big one coming in here is that you have to notice EDG members going down, dropping like flies. A bad teleport coming in from Cho'Gath at least. And I thought the fight was actually over right here, but all eyes have to fall on Scout. He was actually stunned for the majority of this. He finds the kill onto Loken. That was the big play. All of the members of JD Gaming, they were looking forwards towards iBoy. They thought that they dealt enough damage towards Scout.
Wasn't the case. And again, Loken maybe just popping that Featherstorm just too early in that fight, to be honest.
He wanted to dodge out on the Feast, which I can understand. It takes him into the perfect execution range coming in from Scout. I really think the problem was that they didn't see Scout. They didn't assume that he would appear on the backside of Loken. If they were there and they could react fast enough, that was an instant Bromstorm into dead Akali.
Yeah, for sure. They just have so many tools, EDG, in this game. And the fact they managed to get themselves the Akali, Kai'Sa on iBoy as well. Yeah. It's like so much playmaking ability in a team fight, so much ability to navigate the team fight as it goes on as well. It's just absurd.
They just have too many backline tools. Like you have Camille dropping on top of you, you have the Gragas that can blow you towards the front line, and Akali Kai'Sa just flying on your face. It's too difficult to actually keep Xayah alive at this juncture. They don't have the Tahm Kench, so I actually feel like the team fights going forward, they're going to be about trading the carries. I think that's actually the best that JD Gaming can do.
Now, honestly, just if they can find that miracle just barrel chain coming out from Gangplank, it feels like that's going to be like the difference maker right here. But the fact that you can move, hopped on about it, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but the fact that they managed to essentially get 2 free kills for themselves. Yes, they were already setting up at the point where they were already facing down the choke, but that's the best you could possibly hope for, you know? When you're engaging on the enemy team with all of these tools, and even then you're not able to find anything. And it happened 2 times in a row, you know, at Baron. It's just like, at what point are you able to find this turnaround? You know, this is a different story from the 2 games JD were able to win before. Like game 1, just blast them open at their front door. You know, manage to split up the team. I don't think they have that possibility anymore because they'll always be able to re-navigate the fight and regroup.
It's one of the first times throughout this entire series where we've actually saw a JD Gaming initiate fail. I think that's a big point.
That's fair, yeah.
Whenever they went into the 5v5, whenever they had their game plans laid out, they have come out ahead. But unfortunately for this game, they haven't been able to do it. I was getting a bit nervous right there because I saw iBoy smiling. Now, iBoy, you know, he has a reputation for playing extremely cocky in big moments. You go back to World 2017. To be fair, he just started out in the LPL. It's an achievement in himself that he was able to go to Worlds then.
Before that point.
Yeah. So it was a 3-for-0 on EDG's side.
Yeah, but most importantly, the Baron went down over towards them, so they can regroup, pushing those lanes. In fact, Scout's already in the top side. We're back into game now, folks. Nothing actually changed off the backside. Zoom's still dead. The issue has been resolved, but we can take a look at the fight again. It was just 1 versus 1 on the backside, but I can't believe Scout just blew him up.
Yeah, and actually, Yagao had a great trade earlier on. He dodged out on most of the abilities, but the perfect execution. Just so much damage coming in.
That's
and look
crazy.
at Loken. He was playing this so well, actually, and he forces Scout to go into the Zhonya's as well, but they still can't pick up the fight.
Can't keep getting away with it. Scout just doesn't die in these fights.
Akali is absolutely disgusting when it comes to team fight mobility.
Yeah.
Remember, she does get triple dashes, 2 from her ultimate. The Shuriken flip is also a global, so a lot of chances for her to dive in and out and keep herself alive.
This feels like such a good draft coming in here from EDG. Everyone got exactly what they wanted. Pushing into the bot lane now, 17 kills to 5. JD trying to hold down the front door. Throwing out the minion waves, the best they can hope for. Double cannons though, knocking on it.
And this should actually be the hardest part for EDG to go up there. They don't have the greatest range in taking down those towers. And you have to remember, JD Gaming have great engage and also a great tool in Zoom. If they stay here long enough, Zoom should be able to find something.
And tower's down, you said it was the hardest part of this game, but made it look like child's play.
Pretty much, because Scout was drawing away 2 members. He's just too big on the Akali right now, and JD Gaming, they were looking for a pick in the mid lane, didn't find it. They have to give up their bot lane inhibitor. Tower, sorry.
Now Haru just trying to escort the minion wave in right here. He's got a while left on this Baron. Slowly sieging, and JD, I mean, do they even want to find a fight right now, or are they trying to stall time? Oh, Zoom getting caught out, knocked away though. Great block coming in from Lumao, perfect. Wall coming up there. Bust out the ultimate, clear out the minion wave, and here's the engage. iBoy getting chased out there. A kill. Yugao getting forced back. Scout low though. He tries to get into the back lane. He still finds the assassinate. Scout, how do you do this?
He stops JD Gaming from going forward, and he's going to continue to split push.
Another pause. Are you kidding me?
Oh boy, everything that I didn't want to happen really happened right there. I was looking at iBoy smiling, and I was like, please iBoy, take this seriously. They're gonna come in really hard for you. They did find the pick there, but Yagao, there's just nothing he can do against the Akali.
It's just a nightmare. The Akali's going to find someone, and she's gonna kill them. The exhaust was even down the Akali just before she finds the assassinate. So it's, outside of the Skarner getting in lockdown and just nuking the Akali at the start of the fight, I don't see any other method, because that was such a good engage coming out of JD as well. You know, reminiscent of actually game 1, actually, when they were pushed up into their blue side base.
And there was a lot of damage dealt to the Akali as well. She was basically half health, but able to heal up immediately after. The Ignite was on her, the Vladimir ultimate, the Hemo Plague was there as well, but they couldn't finish her off in time. JD Gaming, they're going up against one of the strongest champions in the meta right now. The Akali pick seems unsurmountable for them.
Yeah, and it's the perfect person playing as well, Scout right here.
He's just so calm, actually.
Yeah,
I'm really surprised about that. Now, EDG, they have been in a lot of big moments, in a lot of big game 5s. We just heard production tell us that it was 9 games of game 5s, and so far EDG has only dropped 1 of them.
That's crazy.
Yeah, history doesn't lie.
Now, just hearing that it's Lumao with the pause right here, trying to investigate that one on stage. Don't know if it's peripheral or it's in-game. But again, we'll try and get information to you as fast as possible. I know I'm certainly just interested in what's going on right now.
I think the big thing for that fight there was that JD still have some teeth in them. They could definitely pick off targets. This is what they've been doing the entire split. And EDG, if they make more of those mistakes, okay, good. iBoy's not smiling. All right, I feel more confident about EDG right now. When I saw the smile, I was like, oh, please, no, no, no. Because we've been there before, you know, in big moments where iBoy is about to step up. Sometimes he just goes over aggressive. I don't think it was necessarily his fault in that fight, but I'm glad that, you know, it's sobering him up a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. O'Raris does get the better of iBoy, but again, he's just a young player, you know. The guy's got an incredible amount of talent, but it's very easy for him just to overstep just a little.
He's the cockiest player I have ever interviewed.
But it's fun to watch.
It definitely is. And that's what matters. Yeah.
I actually feel like a similar thing for, you know, for Scout, but he's just been consistently performing right now, you know. Like, I actually see very few scenarios, if any, where I see Scout just like overextending, like dying in the lane by himself. Like, that was such a hallmark of the Scout players. It's like, is he going to feed right here, or is he just going to 1v9? But I feel like we've just seen more of the latter, especially in this game. The Akali player has just been straight up immaculate.
Our problem with Scout is that he's always been a bit messy in terms of the team fighting. He has a very assassin-like mentality, so he's trying to dive the back line a lot of times when he doesn't need to. Technically, EDG, their main carry, is still iBoy in terms of the bot lane, in terms of the damage share, and a lot of times what you want out of your mages is actually just a stable mid-range champion that creates space for your backline. And that was the weakness of Scout, but I feel like if you just give him an assassin, a high skill ceiling champion, then there's really no problems.
I mean, now's the perfect time to do it. Like, he's just not dropping a beat, to be honest. But EDG, if this is the type of EDG that actually moves forwards, I actually wonder, like, even EDG or JD moving into Rogue Warriors, because that'll be happening tomorrow at the end of the regional gauntlet. The final boss is Rogue Warriors.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting series no matter who advances here. JD Gaming, they have Rogue Warriors numbers so far, a clean 3-0 sweep of them. However, EDG had more difficulties with Rogue Warriors this split overall.
Yeah, Rogue Warriors is an interesting one, to be honest. I mean, we have a very different story depending on which one of these three teams actually advances towards the 3rd seed. It's like Rogue Warriors is literally like a sledgehammer. If you haven't seen them, you probably should have seen them by now. But they're like they'll literally try and force a square peg in a circle hole, and more often than not, it'll work. Which is a bizarre thing. Yeah.
And they just go in all the time. They play those compositions that just simply run at you. And I want to make a small correction to myself. It was actually Kahlua that had 100% win rate on the Rakan before going into playoffs, not Luma.
Luma.
Yeah, so bit of correction right there.
The old Kahlua whale. Yeah, and for JD, it'd just be super interesting to see how far they can actually, take this, because I think that when JD are firing on all cylinders, and we've seen it in this game, in this series, I should say.
We've seen it in Game 5 versus Invictus Gaming. They won 3 team fights back to back when it looked like they had no chance. They had an inferior draft. They were dropping out of things, but when it comes to those situations, they fight back so hard.
I've actually got to wonder how Loken's holding up, because historically Loken, we've known him as a very much an emotional player in the same way that Doinby is. And it almost felt like too many emotional players spoiled the broth for that team back when Doinby was on JD. And he really came into his own after the era of Doinby. Looked like an entirely different player. But stick him in this scenario, and I don't see where the solid rock comes on the team, to be honest. Like, who's the oldest player on that roster? You've got Yugao. Zoom is still relatively new.
I would assume
Lumao.
Yeah, I think I would assume Lumao, but I'm not sure. They're all very young, actually.
Yeah, it's just a young team. Yeah.
Yep.
If you Edward Gaming, everyone looks towards the bottom lane and just looks at Mako. It's like, what do we do, boss?
This has been his year to shine. This has been the first year that we haven't seen Clear Love that often on the Rift. So he has taken up the mantle of the main shot caller. There has actually been a lot of questions towards Mako. Sometimes they feel like he tries to force things too hard, or there's not enough attention paid onto protecting iBoy. There was that stretch where they had Hope instead of iBoy playing onto the roster. But I think down the stretch, when it really mattered, he did show up in the end. And I think the big things that you have to look towards him is that he's gone more toward focusing on his own lane. Win his lane first and then roam. So the big picks for him, the picks I really like out of Mako are those picks that actually are kill threats into the lane. The Leona is a massive one, and it's one of his unique picks that he does pick down the stretch.
Yep. Him and Ming, 2 big Leona players in the league.
I'd actually say Crisp.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Good shout.
Chris and LWX, they're probably the... so we have basically 3 kill lanes in the LPL that play for 2v2 all-ins a lot of the times. iBoy Mako is the big one. And then you have Chris, LWX, and I would say the third would be Fury and Yoon, the Korean duo on Suning Gaming.
I would say that Jakulov, when he's going for the bounty lane, when he goes for the Draven and the Pike.
Oh, that's the
Jakulov and balance.
funnest lane
Yeah,
to
yeah.
watch.
Then they turn into a kill lane for sure.
It does look like we're going to have an extended pause so far. EDG still with a massive lead. They already have 1 inhibitor down. They just took a losing fight in the mid lane, I would say. But unfortunately for them, it's still going to be a large momentum gap for them. I think whoever comes out of the pause with more composure could set up the plays better. JD Gaming have proved that they can take a fight over towards EDG. They can focus on the bot line, on the back line. They do have the barrels to do it. So if they can focus all of their damage on and just get a pick down, it still could go down to the big 5v5.
All right, looks like we're going to have a prolonged pause here, and it's important to make sure that everything is okay on stage for these players, because it literally is Game 5. Every single fight, every single kill matters. We're going to hand it back over to the analyst desk to take a look at how the game progressed so far.
Thanks so much, Pulse and Clement. Great job on that so far, but we've got to get down to this pause before we can finally get to the grand conclusion of this Silver Scrapes Game 5. It's coming back to what we were talking about. Scout is having an absolutely pop-off performance. Almost all of EDG's wins, he's been performing well this entire summer split. Can JD shut him down? Can they stay alive long enough to close this series?
I mean, they theoretically do have the tools. You heard the casters talking about it. You look at the draft, you can see that you have the Gangplank, you have the Vladimir, you have the Xayah. And as I say that, we're actually going to throw it right back to the casters because we're back in it.
That's what I like to hear. Right back in game.
And
you toss it over, and there we go.
Yeah, we're right back to where we started straight after the team fight. If you look at the situation, it's a 1-for-1 trade overall. But EDG, with the map pressure they have, they're just able to continue their split pushing.
Man, the fact that Loken is pushing up right now, face-to-face with Scout. I mean, yes, he's low, doesn't have the ultimate, doesn't have any of the resources, but I wouldn't do that.
That was insanely risky.
Yeah. I wouldn't step up from the
Actually, Loken was fronting right there. He didn't have his teammates. They were coming. They were on the way.
Yep.
Let's go back to the previous fight. A great save from Luma here. I want to watch how iBoy actually gets caught out in this fight. Oh, he gets tagged by Luma.
Oh, and Death's Daughter on him. Yeah.
Such a hero play coming from the shock collar. And just look at the start of that fight. It looked like Scout was going down under 300 HP. Turns around and then gets the kill anyway.
That's nuts, man.
That's disgusting.
I feel like Lid has just got to say the ultimate. I understand him doubling down on the iBoy to get the pick right there, which is super important in that fight. But, I mean, every single fight that we've seen from Scout, he always kills somebody on the backside, no matter what the game state is. And this would be an EDG without the initiation as well. Usually it's JD, as we just saw right there, going for the initiates, and he still managed to salvage it just on his own.
And honestly, it didn't even look that hard. All you needed to hit was the shuriken flip, and he was straight into the back line, out the back with the flash as well.
Yep.
Macaulay is just so hard to play up against. You need multiple just point-and-click crowd controls to really keep her down. Clid probably never got a chance to use Impale in that fight. I didn't really see it come out.
I think it went down onto iBoy because it was on cooldown coming off the back of that fight, yeah. But he was like right on top of him and he just almost insta-died after that. But Scout's still got the QSS and he's got the Zhonya's and he's got the Shroud. So you're right, it's like you need more than just one piece of CCs to lock him down.
The win conditions are incredibly difficult for JD Gaming. They probably need to pick iBoy off first and then back out, wait for Scout to come out of his Shroud and then re-engage. It feels laborious even talking about it, you know?
Yeah, I feel like I'm just sat on JD's team right now. It's just like having to face this down. But we've managed to stall out just a little bit for JD. About 7,000 gold advantage to EDG. And they're actually setting up from bot side. Don't have any Baron left though. So seeing if they can get anything away for perhaps this bottom lane inhibitor would be a great setup towards Baron, which is spawning in 70 seconds. Well, knock on from Zoom. Instantly
clears the wave out. Without the Baron, I don't think they can push that much further. Akali could look to try and backdoor this. She doesn't have the teleport necessarily.
Yeah, it'd be a risk. I don't know if EDG even want to go for a potential risk at this point.
Yeah, you're right. I think they're just going to set up 5-man around the Baron. They're pretty confident in their composition for sure.
Yeah. What do you think we're looking for JD as a contest for the Baron? I feel like it's just the barrels coming in from Zoom long range. Otherwise, it's Yagao just coming in front to back and just hopefully just landing a Hemoplay combo, right?
Yeah. I think the only way they actually win a 5v5 right now is if they can somehow snipe out Scout, but it's so hard because he has the Quicksilver Satch and the Zhonya's at the same time. It's going to have to come down to a misplay. I'm sorry to say this for JD Gaming, but I don't see them winning in a non-siege situation. When they're sieging, they actually have a good opportunity to go on to iBoy, but when they're playing around the Baron pit, I don't even think iBoy would be caught out.
Yeah, and to be honest, there's been missteps coming out from EDG, and it still wasn't enough to give it over to JD, you know? So it feels like it needs to be multiple missteps in the same fight for multiple fights for JD to come back into the game. It's going to be a free Dragon take. JD honestly not going to try and contest this one, but it's been really nice pickup for EDG since they're contesting Baron right here. Next Dragon's going to be Elder, but they'll be able to burn Baron down so quickly to the point where JD will have to push out of their base to try and contest this one and move through a lot of fog walls, just spaces they don't have vision control over.
I think the problem now is that Yagel's actually quite easy to focus
forcing
down.
it. Hail Mary play coming out from JD. Here comes the teleport out from Ray. But we need to see the straight disengage. Yeah, cleared on the backside. Gets knocked up there. All right, not going to see the follow through from my boy.
Yagel's looking for an attempt onto the back line, but JD Gaming are straight, EDG are straight pushing towards the base.
They have the inside track, but they don't have the minion wave, unfortunately.
They might just lose this tower before they are able even to defend.
How low is it? 75% HP. Yeah, recall's very late coming in from JD, actually, expecting the EDG to keep pushing on towards them. Not going to happen. This will be the tower take, probably inhib as well. Here comes JD, though. Yagao pushing forwards, Protobelt coming out and clearing out the minion wave, so maybe won't find easy access onto this inhibitor tower, but they still managed to take the tower itself.
Loken has a lot more defenses right now. The Hex Streak is already finished on him, and he does have the stopwatch as well. He knows the Akali is going to be looking at him. So I'm actually more concerned about Yagao in this situation. I feel like if he doesn't pull correctly, then Scout could simply finish him off. He has the Ignite for it as well.
EDG dipping back towards their sides of the map. And Baron is up. JD, I like the bait out of them. They managed to get the teleport, which is a big thing for me, at the very least for Ray, but it means that iBoy still has his teleport, so he can teleport back to base at will and then rejoin the fight. Zoom, I think maybe he'd move towards the bottom side and try and be a threat down there. But not going to be the case. He's actually just going to stick in top lane.
Actually going to decide to straight rush the Baron, it does seem like. So, oh no, that was just Lu Mao using his Unseal spellbook. Retain control over this area.
I'm just trying to think, like, what JD should I get off of this one? Oh, the team fight's open up. They see the choke up in top lane. Clid under attack, though. Brings up the door. The ultimatum's down. And Ink flies Scout already down to half. But he's got a massive knock-up coming out from Mako. But that's 2 kills coming through from JD. And Yagal's got access into the backline. Haro low. He's dropped into the Guardian Angel. But here comes Ray. Need to deal with this guy. He chops down on Yagal. Loken pushing forwards and he's dead.
Everyone's
trying to get up there. Gets the assassinate onto iBoy. Gets the knock up as well. Ruptured down to Haro. Finishes off Zoom. 3 for 4 trade.
And that was the first time that JD Gaming actually found a fight onto Scout. They used the Impale on him immediately, forced him out of the equation. It was such good play coming in from Mako, getting the quadra knockup, stopping everyone, allowing Scout to retreat from that situation. But a great fight coming in from JD Gaming. And you have to remember that this time around, they're not going to lose much off of that fight. And they should be able to extend the game further.
We were waiting on a mistake, but I actually think that was just a straight outplay in that situation.
That was an outplay coming in.
Ray was top lane. He saw the opportunity to engage onto them. But more importantly, you're absolutely right there, Clement. He found Scout near the start of that fight. Is not going to be assassinated on the backside. And it looked like it was just going to be a sweep there from EDG. You saw the Akali go in. She goes into the back line, hits the Zhonya's, and then you get the quadra knockback coming out from Mako.
It was just the fact that Zoom was there much earlier, so it was a 5v4 for the majority of the fight. And then Cho'Gath finally popped in and was able to push off the remaining members. But that was a fight that JD Gaming very well could have taken right there. There was a lot of great plays coming in. Haro definitely saved Scout a couple times. It was a quadra knockup from Mako to keep JD Gaming at bay, make sure that Scout didn't fall down then and there. But at the end, I feel like JD Gaming, they got what they wanted out of that situation. They got more time.
They got time, and they also showed that they can actually face him in the team fight. You know, like for a large portion of this game, it actually just looked like EDG were just going to straight up win every front-to-back fight, and probably every either flank fight as well, to be honest, when you have Scout on the roster. But the fact that you can even compete with EDG at this point in the game is just phenomenal, you know?
There are a lot of gold behind. I think like there were 7K or 6K behind at the very least. And this does allow Gameplank to scale up. If you have Gameplank on damage items, it just means that, you know, one barrel could change the entire outcome of the team fight. It's still a very steep hill for them to climb, but we've seen JD Gaming pull off so many miracle plays before.
And to be honest, in terms of pause timing, this actually feels much better for JD. You know, they're actually coming off the back of
a win.
An actual win. So many times we've had these pauses coming through from JD. Not sure who's actually coming out from. Haven't had confirmation just yet. But yeah, this time they actually have a bit of morale on their side. You know, they can't talk right now, but still, it's got to feel much better. You know, this is night and day difference from the last pause to this one for Loken.
When we come back into the game, the important thing is to take account of the summoner count for both teams, basically. I think that's going to decide the final game. If Scout did have to blow a lot of his summoners early on in that fight, then, you know, I would give a slight advantage over towards JD Gaming that can execute on such a high level. Or if the other case is true, I think EDG will take the next fight.
What's the shelf life on this game, Clement? Do you think it's going to be 1, 2? How many fights have we got left?
Well, I think the situation where you have 2 inhibitor towers down, it's probably just 1 fight. For if EDG win, it's probably just one fight and it's over. But for JD Gaming, if they come back, I'd say 2.
Yeah.
Now
we're going to take a look at that last fight and see how JD managed to turn this one, because it looked great at the start. Yeah, this is actually happening right at the very beginning of this one.
So it actually got Haro instead of Scout. They were actually stacked up a little bit, but a massive chunk of damage going in straight onto Scout's face when he went in to follow the Mako Quadra right there. And finally, Ray does arrive at this at the crime scene to push JD Gaming back. You're still able to trade the backline efficiently, however. So it was a 5v4 engage onto JD Gaming, but the person that they found wasn't Scout. Sorry, their champions were stacked up.
Yeah, but either way, I mean, the story is very similar in the sense that Scout was just forced out of the fight and he didn't get the re-engage. At the point where he was stepping back up on the ladder side of it, he just got instantly just crit in the face.
Yeah, I just wonder what the damage was coming out from JD Gaming when Scout actually re-engaged, because he took basically half his health.
The Scout re-engaged or the...
so after Mako got the Quadra knocked up, Scout went in and he instantly lost half his health. It could just be a game plank.
Barrels
so
coming
that would
across
be
like
enough
a parlay,
damage.
I mean, the game plank's strong if you can get him out of laning phase, just, you know, unmolested and get him into a team fight, get him into the mid and late game, then he looks fantastic. But I didn't think he was even going to reach this point in the game, to be honest. I thought that EDG were going to keep it watertight.
Yeah. EDG did make a couple mistakes in the early game. They got a lot of cold back onto Zoom's game flank. At one point, he was 3k gold ahead of even the top laner, 2k ahead of even Akali.
I can't imagine how difficult it is for the players right now. We've had probably as much pause time in this game as we have actual gameplay. When you break up a game like this as well, especially like after team fights, you're thinking of time and it's like, I just lost count.
Yeah. They do get to stare at the screen for now, but I think the most grueling aspect about this is you can't talk to your teammates during these type of pauses. It's very hard to realign the entire team when you get back into the game. You have a lot of communication to do to set up the next play, and you can't do it during these technical
pauses,
difficulties. Yeah,
again, we don't have much more information for you. Sorry, folks at home, but we're in the same boat with you. Just eager to try and get back onto Rift. I don't know what's happening right now for these players. This is an unbelievably important matchup for both JD and EDG. This is us teetering on EDG, the dynasty of the LPL, the flagship, falling out of world contention for the first time ever in history. And JD, the upstarts, potentially progressing to worlds themselves, will have to take on Rogue Warriors, which certainly have had a good win rate against as well. Like, the road would be clear. I feel like this is probably a bigger obstacle today, to be honest, to overcome an EDG who are actually playing up at the very end of their season.
For sure. JD Gaming, they have Rogue Warriors' number. They're looking at this set to be the do-or-die set right here. And honestly, in the team fights, I feel like they've scaled to the point where the divers are actually having some difficulty just simply killing the targets they're intended to. When you look at Xayah, who's getting close to full items, who has the stopwatch in hand already, it's not that easy to just snipe her off.
Yeah, I mean, you said you preferred the Xayah priority coming in here actually for JD, at least when the draft was starting over the Kai'Sa.
That was a good prediction coming in from home. If it was just the Xayah, I would prefer the Varus, but if it's going to be the Kai'Sa, which is much weaker in lane, and I think the Xayah does well here. Overall, I think their big mistake for JD Gaming is that they've definitely showed their cards here. They don't have the Akali. They don't have it in top. They don't have it in mid. If they did,
they would have picked it already.
Yeah, there was an instant pick. Because EDG was already taking away the counter picks. They took away I believe, the Galio and the Lissandra.
And the Aatrox.
Yeah. So there was nothing left to really
actually, I think
counter.
Maybe was open, because I know they banned the Lissandra and the Aatrox. I don't know what the first ban was.
Oh yeah, maybe the Rakan was banned away.
Yeah.
So definitely at least the Lissandra was taken away as a counter pick. It's such a long road coming in for JD Gaming. You have to remember this is the 20th game they've been playing since the offseason. It's 3 games in their first set, 4 against EDG, and then it went to 5 against Invictus Gaming. And now it's going back to 5 against EDG again.
Yeah, it's actually a 3-0 as well in third place match.
Oh yeah, so that makes it 20 overall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just ridiculous. Here we go, folks, back into game. Once again, we just have to apologize for the technical difficulties. It's hard on everyone involved.
Huh, so actually Zoom drops as well. So they're just gonna straight up get possibly 2 inhibitors at this point.
It looks like it.
Yep, I don't think Lirma can stop them.
Love to hear it from the crowd, though, getting involved. Giving the players their energy, so important when it comes down to this. It's been a long day for everybody here on stage. Managed to get the inhibitor off the backside of that. Now we can take a look at the fight again.
All right, so it's actually EDG who did the engage right there. They go on to Haro first thing, but the big point is who actually deals all that damage to Scout as he's trying to go in. Actually does look like the game plank somehow. EDG do start a fight, and look at where Ray is. They do start a fight 4v5, and I think that's the big mistake that's happening here.
Yeah, it looked like a combination of like transfusion from Vlad and also like a gangplank at the same time, maybe like a parlay. EDG starting off the Baron though here. JD stepping up, it's only cleared, and it's being burnt so quickly over the wall, does not choose to jump over, had the flash, and EDG, they'll snipe out the Baron once again.
And a massive lead for them, 8K up in the gold. They're gonna have to split pushing pressure so long. I actually think for EDG, if they can just stretch the game, stretch the 5v5 thinner, it would be probably better for them. So just have Scout, you know, kind of split push one. I think Scout can split push the top. That's exactly where they're pinging out. Keep the 4-man at a good distance away from JD Gaming. JD Gaming don't actually have the best initiation, I would say. Like Clit can't really just go in by himself at this point. There's a lot of Mercurial Scimitars being purchased on EDG's side.
Yeah, QSS on essentially 3 targets, then you've got a tank in the top lane, and who really wants to kill the Gragas at the start, to be honest. So feeling good on the outplay potential. Zon's in mid lane as well. JD, you know, just got to wipe out the 2 carries. You know, at the very least, get them out of the fight so they can't come back into it, specifically Scout. But it seems like the focus has shifted in these last couple skirmishes where they are just constantly looking at Nikali, waiting for her to even step forwards within kill threat.
Interesting look that EDG is throwing them. They're actually sending the Haro. Oh, and you can see the disappointment from the crowd and also from the players.
That's absolutely brutal.
Wonder what problem it is now.
Yeah, we'll try and get that to you as fast as possible, as soon as we hear it in our ears ourselves.
Does look like Loken trying to fix his keyboard.
Yeah, I know the bottom side has had a lot of peripheral issues in this one. Actually, started with EDG, it's going from both sides.
Yeah, it's really hard to avoid when you move into a new venue. It's, of course, our 3rd day playing here in Nanjing. We did kick it off with the 7th anniversary of League of Legends in China.
Yeah. Yeah, start off with a couple show matches. Had fans yesterday, original gauntlet. This is still day 1.
It's pretty interesting that they're sending Haro. I think EDG's idea right now is if they can trade Haro for Zoom, it's a massive win for the 4-man in the top side.
Oh, for sure. I mean, Gangplank is like 50%, if not like 70% of the playmaking power from JD right now.
Yep. And Camille at this point does have enough damage with the auto attack reset to quickly take down the inhibitor. Actually, a pretty good idea coming out from EDG. They just need to make sure that JD Gaming don't initiate on them. Because even though Camille can't join, Gameplank could still use the Cannon Barrage.
They're definitely going to still try. I mean, JD, there's not been a single time in this series when they're being pushed up as a 5, they just haven't initiated every single time they've tried.
Momentum and favor still very far into EDG's advantage. They're pushing up on the the top lane inhibitor right now.
Yeah, control for sure. I don't know if I would necessarily say momentum. I don't know if anyone has momentum. After the Baron, yeah, I mean, that's fair. But after like just a million years of pause and just having to reset once again, sat in your own headspace.
You can tell it's really getting to the players at this point. Who can come out with the better mentality is going to be a big point of contention.
I mean, you'd think EDG, right?
Yeah.
They have the experience on their side. They have the foundation there at the end of the day. It should be JD who are buckling, but I mean, like, they've shown a lot of tenacity in this series, to be honest.
That's serious eye-boy. That's the eye-boy I like.
All right, we're going to send it back to the analyst desk to try and get us through this pause. Take a look, guys.
Great job, and considering how the last analyst test happened so quickly, now we got to race through the rest of the analyst test to make sure we can actually get our information out in time.
Vlad GP, what now?
Oh, God. I'd like off the ship. First and foremost, I do want to say this is never how you want a best-of-5 to go, especially in a regional qualifier for that last ticket. I know that we on the desk are just as frustrated as you can see the players down there. It's unfortunately going to be a test of endurance. You never want to test players that way, but I guess there's no other way around it. It just, it sucks.
And you can see the pick ban on your screen showing how we got here. We said it was so instrumental coming into this game. We said at the beginning of the day that Scout would have to perform. He's been doing that in spades over the course of the series, but the flex to take the Akali in game 4, say it didn't work out for Ray, we can still use it as a trap to pull in JD.
And go on, you go first.
I was going to say, again, they expected the Akali to go through. Both teams flashed it into the draft phase, and so it was very clear that JD Gaming thought, again, we've seen the Akali come out multiple times. A lot of LPL teams are saying we know compositions to get around this, so they secure the Skarner and the Xayah, a very safe ADC that if the Akali tries to dive the backline, she can use her ultimate, she can create distance with flash, and as well as the Skarner, either creating the picks or more importantly, sitting in that backline that when something does try to dive, you have the suppression. Now, obviously, this late in the game, pretty much everyone has Banshee Veils, they all have QSS. It's really hard to find any sort of hard CC on any sort of opponents to follow up and try to instantly kill someone. And that's where I think a lot of problems are occurring, where they couldn't beat the Akali in lane. It got broken because he just destroyed Yagao there. And now come hyper late game, there's almost nothing to stop Akali from diving that back line.
That being said, it's getting more difficult for her. You got into a position where it's EDG's early and mid game was getting strong because what we got from JD was a hyperscaling composition. It's composition that works very well once you have items on the Vladimir and GP. They now have those items, but the road to get there was damn hard. It was very difficult for JD. They were getting run down. Now we're getting to a point, and this is where the pause and the mentality matters. We've seen JD come back from nearly unwinnable situations in the past. So for them with this comp, it is possible. So they have to come back with the mentality to do it. And that's where we see in the faces of Clid, the frustration on Yagao, that needs to round up. 100%.
I mean, he's been head and hands, and like, I agree with you. There's both win conditions for either team, but I honestly feel like this is almost a race of who actually deletes the backline faster.
Yes.
Is this a gangplank barrel that just blows everyone up? Because if you're Scout on Akali, again, you have full access to the backline. What you need to do, though, is wait. And as soon as you see Vladimir and GP and Skarner commit, then you just race in. And so is the barrel going to land, or is the assassin going to find the mark?
And that's what makes it so remarkable, is that he is still assassinating targets, and not just the Xayah, but Yagao's Vladimir, of all people. He's got the Tides of Blood. We'll see if he actually decides to go for his Zhonya's as the game goes on, because Scout has got his number, and what we thought would be an even matchup is suddenly shaking out completely different.
Yeah, 100%. I think something that we've realized is that the Akali, the really difficult portion of this, and this is why Scout is a phenomenal player, because it's the Akali that is able to get past the AoE of the GP barrels, as you mentioned, the Vladimir ulti, and even the Braum ulti that's really pinning her down. So if she can ever find a backline access, that's really what's going to break open the game. That's really what's going to do it for them. It's nice that they got the inhibitor down to make it much easier to flow with the wave, to play around top side push if they have 4 members there. EDG's setup needs to be down packed.
Yeah, but I feel like they have the individual performance to do that. Again, Scout really created his own fortune in that early game. Levels, I believe it was level 3. He just absolutely dominated Yagao, sent him back without his flash. Yeah, he got some assistance from Haro, but Haro was able to punish Yagao because he was frankly being so greedy on approaching that creep wave. Yeah. And then as soon as Akali had control of the lane against a Vladimir who needs time to scale, suddenly the rest of the map opened up. And yeah, now we're late game, now it really doesn't matter, but ultimately Scout put himself into that position where he was making these crazy plays and showcasing his power on the Akali.
And the double-edged blade for EDG is able to come up strong in this game 5, yet currently it is still a sword of Damocles. It is still hanging above the head of JD Gaming. The thread has not broken, and there's a chance for them to try and come back. They've got the late game team fighting composition, and it does just come down to that execution.
Does, and I think the one point that they have to really play around is that Cho'Gath. The execution is working in the team fight in which Cho'Gath was in the top side of the map for a good majority of it. If Cho'Gath joins up, he pushes back the Vladimir. The silence is going to be really damaging to JD. At this point, EDG should always have the Cho'Gath with the team, with the wave, so there is not an option for Cho'Gath jumping on the AD.
What's really hard for JDG is that Edward Gaming's composition is so much stronger at turning off Baron. This game has turned into massive Baron fights. Edward Gaming have secured it both times, and their composition is designed to do that. They have the Kai'Sa, they have the Cho'Gath. They can burn and secure that Baron so easily, but more importantly, it's not just about securing the Baron, it's also about the ability that when JDG, especially from red side, start to come around, you have things like the Camille, like the Akali, like the Kai'Sa. It's so easy to just flip off of it and immediately start a fight. And what's cool about that is as you look historically at EDG, this is one of their signatures. Yeah, we're seeing adaptation because, you know, it's Haro, it's Ray, it's Scout that's popping off, but ultimately EDG have always played Baron-style compositions. They've always prioritized that big purple worm and how to fight around it. It's what made them so successful in the LPL for so long, and you see the fingerprints of that in this type of composition.
Yeah, certainly a very strong composition in this Game 5, but now we have to look back towards the series as a whole and talk about how we've actually gotten to this point, because this Baron focus that we're seeing out of EDG seemed to have slipped up a little bit for them in the mid-game of Game 1 and Game 2, because JD Gaming were able to respond. They denied by immediately engaging in Game 1. In Game 2, they were able to take the momentum and the tempo away, preventing EDG from playing this style. Well, now we're in the depths and the dregs of Game 5. What are the learnings that EDG can take away, seeing JD come head-to-head with this?
I would say respect the flank is a big portion of it. A lot of it, respect to the flank from the solo laners, and also respect Lumao on these engage options. One of the games, I think it was Game 2, the Alistar was a big takeaway. And so for that one, they realized when they're pushing up as a squad onto inhibitor, that they have to have the defensive wards around them so they don't get surprised. This one, there was a play when they were pulling up straight through mid that Kai'Sa got picked up, but that was through the front. I think that was just on iBoy, who just wasn't ready for it. But the preparation was there by EDG.
For me, it's about, again, this idea of clutch moments and confidence. Right now, iBoy is hot. He's flashing forward. He's playing aggressively on the front lines. Scout, he's been performing all series long. He's now on the Akali, and he's still making these big, crazy plays. Mako looks solid. Ray, a little bit shaky, but I think the Cho'Gath has put pretty much a Band-Aid on that. Sometimes he's out of position, and Haro has been kind of hit and miss, a little bit inconsistent over the course of the series. On the other side, it looks like Zoom and Yagao have centered themselves. Yagao got blown out a little bit, but he's trying to make his way back, whereas Clid, every time you look at him, he's slunk back into his chair, his head in his hands. He just looks frustrated, and I think he's had a terrible best of 5 on the day, which is so unfortunate for how well he was playing in playoffs. So for when it really matters for Clid to slip back, it's devastating to watch.
And we do have to juxtapose, of course, these two organizations. Edward Gaming, they've been here since 2014. They have been one of the winningest organizations in the history of the LPL, but things might look like they finally could be crumbling, even as the fans are gathering around the arena. They know that the pause is still going on behind us. You can see them in the background of the shot, crowding around the player booth to chant as loud as they can.
And it's a lot of EDG fans in particular. I now hear the JD guy across the stadium cheering.
Because really think about the stakes of the match. That's the most important. You go through an entire grueling season for one game. And for JD and EDG, that one game pushes you a ticket to Worlds. So the fans are behind it. You hear them. They want the game to complete, win or loss. It's just about the pressure that's on their side.
And that's why historically we have given EDG so much credence over time, so much leeway, even when they're dropping, to say, okay, this is their worst year, but are they actually going to drop Worlds? Are they actually going to drop playoffs? So far, they've dropped playoffs, and now they're in Game 5 against JD Gaming. Is the buff still there? Can they still make it?
I mean, we're really in a new chapter of League of Legends. In Europe, you still have the old kings of Fnatic standing tall above everything else. But in Korea, you know, SKT falling away. And yeah, it's been a long time coming for SKT as they've slowly, you know, the wheels are falling off and Faker's just trying to continue to drive it home. But in the same thing in North America, TSM's starting to slip backwards. You're starting to see, you know, the new dynasties or the new generation of talent everywhere around the world really take over.
Hey, you know what? EU's not unscathed too. They're still the kings of Europe G2. So a lot of the major teams, to add to your point, are falling over. EDG obviously being the watchers. They're watching the rest of the world. The same case is happening. SKT falling in their gauntlet run. They don't want to be in the same position. I think EDG are putting up a massively strong fight. It's not just Scout. The fact that the rest of the members, and that's been the story of the series, coming in, powering up, it really speaks to their perseverance, the teamwork that's really starting to come together, and maybe at the last moment. But if they can do it at the last moment, then better late than never. Great for EDG, but JDG is also going back.
And of course, just to give you folks a quick update, again, there is a curfew in the area at 10, so folks are heading home to make sure that they can't get there in time. So that is why we've got the screens going out behind us. We've got the players leaving as well. Sorry, not the players. We need to keep the players here.
I was going to say, the players are still in their booths.
Goodness, I hope we keep the players here because still, this is such an important game for these two. This is the elimination match, and this is day 1 of the gauntlet, game 5. We're now 6.5 hours into this best of 5.
And it's crazy now to think about, because day 1, there's a whole nother best of 5 in Rogue Warriors just the other day.
Well, it looks like the game has finally resumed. We're getting right back in. We'll toss it to the casters.
Thank you so much, guys. Getting back into this game, hopefully for the last time. It's been absolutely brutal on the players. But the fans have been behind them as well. As we said, it's a blackout in the arena. It's almost eerie, but the only sound that we heard right now was the cheers from the crowd right behind those players.
Yeah, they just want to get that last hurrah in before JD Gaming and EDG decide potentially who is going to go to Worlds. This will be the first time for JDG if they do make it, and it will be the first time for EDG to drop out as well if that is the case. So a lot on the line.
Oh yeah, and it could come down to a final team fight, which is being opened up by Zoom. They're actually dragging in the Cho'Gath right now, who has the goggles, and of course he's not going to die. He's a massive tank right now. Super's knocking on the front door, and Haro, they're buying time. Down goes Braum, looking at Scout. Can he finally assassinate? Yagao pops out of the Sanguine pool, and he's down. JD pushed to the limit, and they cannot hold the line right now against EDG. Haro with the flank, double knockup. Loken, it's on him, but the next is exposed. EDG, there is no stopping the flagship. There is no stopping the machine. They will advance to the final round of the gauntlet.
And 30 seconds after coming out the pause, EDG closed the deal in. A much-deserved Game 5 victory coming in for them. It was a great play all along. But in Game 5, Scout truly shined in the end. That was the main carry that the analyst was talking about all the time.
I cannot believe that is the way that the series ended, right out of the pause into a final fight for these players. EDG overcoming adversity to move on. The dream is still alive. The script hasn't been ripped up just yet. JD came unbelievably close. I cannot stress how far that JD pushed so many teams in the LPL, not just Edward Gaming, but Invictus Gaming as well. Could have made the run all the way to the finals that we saw yesterday. I mean, that was just an absurd series from start to finish. Yeah,
EDG just coming in with the upset, in fact. Most of the people on our desk and in the Chinese side were saying that this was JD Gaming's on their 3-1, but they finally make it through. They keep their hopes alive, and there's still a shot at them for appearing at Worlds for 5 years on straight.
Yeah, that's going to do it from us, but I just want to say shout-outs to the players on stage for keeping their composure, and shout-out to the fans right now behind the teams as well. Just incredible stuff that we experienced here today. We're going to send it back to the analyst desk, take a look at the game, close out the day.
Great job, guys. And EDG, I asked the question, not 3 minutes later, we got the answer.
That was about 30 seconds later.
Give or take.
Very fast. Quick. Being able to complete the game, it really came down to those crucial team fights. I know we talked about it quite a bit coming in and out of the pause. EDG are so focused in the gauntlet. They had the time. I didn't think it was enough time. We saw some pretty large scars in the team that was coming in from the jungle. But they doubled down. Kept Haro in there throughout the entire series, even through the losses. And it really paid off. I think Haro had a great series coming out ahead of Clit.
For me, this is about endurance now. So forget this series. I mean, it's going to weigh pretty heavily, especially on JDG. But Edward Gaming, they need to just focus and look forward. You said 6.5 hours. They now have another best of 5 against Rogue Warriors. It's after curfew. The stadium has been emptied. Yeah. Edward Gaming now have to go to press. They then have to go back, and they need to start preparing. And there is so much footage for Rogue Warriors to be pouring over to prepare themselves for that final ticket.
And I think, though, despite all of that, despite all of these hurdles standing in front of Edward Gaming moving tomorrow, they're going to feel really good about this victory. I mean, pauses aside, Scout played an incredible game. Haro popped off and gave them the momentum that they needed to light their fires. Yeah, Ray looked a little bit shaky, but Edward Gaming looked more like a team in that Game 5 than they have throughout the duration of the entire split.
They really, really rallied, and it started in Game 2. When they lost in the same fashion in Game 1, they gathered together, and a lot of the fights were not decided in the same way the semifinals was. It was really just decided by a straight 5v5, and they're able to come out ahead. I think not only just the team play, the sole individuals that we were questioning, because we were saying scout show, scout show. iBoy came in super strong in his Kaisa play throughout the series. I felt like iBoy was a major person to focus on now going into the next series into Rogue Warriors.
I mean, yeah, they found their teamwork, but for me, EDG showed every single strategy that they have. I think that JD Gaming have already shown a blueprint for Rogue Warriors tomorrow. Take away the Scion, contest that pick, try to push Ray's champion pool because he's not able to make it connect on the carries with Edward Gaming, which again, doesn't say that Ray can't play the carries, just that EDG with Ray on those carries is not the same animal. So while I agree, they found the cohesion, they found the rally, I think they need to go back to the drawing board and try to dig deep for some more strategy because it's very clear what Rogue Warriors need to attack tomorrow.
And this is where we need to see what Rogue Warriors are actually going to do in order to answer that. As you said, there's plenty of tape for them to provide, but let's go ahead and take a look at the bracket now that EDG have advanced to Day 2 of the Regional Qualifier Gauntlet. Coming back against JD, taking Game 5.
And all hail the Western Conference. We will actually get a Western team into Worlds now. Both Rogue Warriors and Edward Gaming come from the Western Conference, and it won't be completely dominated by our 3 Eastern teams.
It was a tough one. It definitely they got tested throughout the playoffs, throughout the regular season when the cross-conference came through, and it all comes down to this. EDG versus Rogue Warriors in the Regional Gauntlet Finals. Just 2 teams, honestly, and it's just going to be that one ticket.
And it actually looks to be pretty exciting, seeing how these players are playing up. We know that Rogue Warriors are a team that utilize passion and fire themselves, a very emotional team. Well, we got to see some very big emotions out of Edward Gaming, so tomorrow could be an intense matchup. What are you guys looking forward to?
Looking forward to mid in bot lane. Funny enough, we were talking about the similarities between JDG and EDG. If we're talking about Rogue Warriors now, so empowered by Doinby and SMLZ. We've had the discussion throughout the split about the best AD carries when Uzi wasn't playing. SMLZ ascended to that throne when iBoy wasn't there. Now we get to see a battle of the AD carries now that iBoy is playing up.
He's looking at bot side, I'm looking at top side.
Yeah.
Everything is on fire on the top side for both these teams. Ray, unable to play the carries, forced into the tanks, and Rogue Warriors are trying to figure out, is it Holder, is it Mouse? Because right now, they can't run Holder as well as Flawless, so they're trying to bend around in the jungle with the Kiwi position because Mouse is just getting blown apart in Champion Pool.
Something we've realized with the last series that we saw with Holder he played throughout the 3rd place match was that, you know, he was starstruck. I felt like when he got on the map in a crucial series in the best of 3, he just fell when he was on the Jax. So the problem was he was out there, it didn't work. Mouse is far more experienced, an experienced team fighter in what is now a team fighting EDG. It's best to put Mouse and Flawless in.
He knows
it makes
the
a lot
team.
of sense. Exactly.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see what it's going to be. But again, that's going to do it for us. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in and sticking with us through all of these technical difficulties to get the conclusion of this fantastic series. As a quick update, that series will start at 2 p.m. China Standard tomorrow. So thank you so much, and we'll see you then for Rogue Warriors versus EDG.